What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another stock comparison, and today I've picked 3 largest dividend paying names from the semiconductor industry. The first one is NVIDIA Corporation, ticker symbol NVDA. 1 year's performance was real awful for any shareholders, with the stock down for 37.7%, but zooming out to 5 years, in 2017 it was trading at $40.65. So with it now being at $131.30, we here have an increase of 169.89% in those 5 years. This will be the largest pick of the 3 with a market cap of $327 billion US, and the stock is trading at a real low dividend yield of 0.12%. So what will be the 2 other names to put against this? Second is Broadcom, ticker symbol AVGO. In 1 year the stock is only down for 2.92%. And zooming out to 5 years, the stock almost doubled. It was trading at $240 back in 2017 and went up for 93.38% to $479.50 per share. Market cap here is at $194 billion, and the dividend yield is way higher at 3.42%. So comparing only the dividend yield, it is way higher than of NVIDIA's, but that is why we have a few more metrics to look into for the comparison. Now the third name we have is Texas Instruments, ticker symbol TXN. In 1 year the stock is down for 14.73%, but zooming out to 5 years it is again up. In 2017 we saw the price at $93.59, and the stock is trading at $166.54 now, up for 77.95%. Company's market cap is at $152 billion US, and the stock is trading at a dividend yield of 2.98%. So these 3 will be the names for today's dividend comparison, and to go through with it we'll use Google Sheets. So in order to make the dividend comparison possible, we'll use 5 different metrics: dividend yield, dividend payout ratio, years of consecutive dividend increases, 5-year compound annual dividend growth rate, and the current dividend yield compared to its 5-year average. We'll take a look into each stock and get numbers under every metric, and add them into this table here. The stock with the best number for the metric gets a point, then we sum up the points for each ticker, and the stock with the most points will be considered the winner of this dividend comparison. I hope that the rules were clear, and an early thumbs up would be very much appreciated, and with that out of the way, let's begin. So the first metric we are taking a look into is the dividend yield. It is calculated by taking the annual dividend per share and dividing it by the share price. NVIDIA is currently paying an annual dividend of 16 cents per share, so at a price of $131.30, we here have a dividend yield of 0.12%. Now Broadcom, their annual dividend is at $16.40, so at a price of $479.50, we here have a dividend yield of 3.42%. And then Texas Instruments, their dividend is at $4.96, so at a share price of $166.54, we have a dividend yield of 2.98%. The second metric is the dividend payout ratio. The percentage here shows what part of company's earnings are being distributed back to investors as dividends. So in NVIDIA's case, the dividend payout ratio is at 4.68%, meaning that under 1/20th of company's earnings are being used for the dividends. Now Broadcom is a way different story, as their payout ratio is at 40.18%, so just a bit less than half of earnings are being used for dividends. And then for Texas Instruments we have it at 55.61%, so for TXN just a bit over than half of earnings are being used to pay dividends. Metric number 3 is the years of consecutive dividend increases. So for how many years the company has been increasing dividends for at least 1 quarter every year. Unfortunately, NVIDIA haven't been increasing dividends recently, so their number of dividend increases is at 0 years. Switching to Broadcom, and they have it way better with 12 years of consecutive dividend increases. And lastly, Texas Instruments is the best one out of the 3, with 18 years of increasing dividends for at least 1 quarter every year. Metric number 4 is the compound annual dividend growth rate. For this comparison, we'll take the 5-year average, including the next year's estimate. In NVIDIA's case, the compound annual dividend growth rate is at 0.96%. Now switching to Broadcom, and their 5-year dividend growth rate is way higher at 15.73%. Lastly, Texas Instruments, where they have the growth rate just a bit under but still way up there at 13.53%. The last metric we are taking a look into is the dividend yield compared to its 5-year average. and for that we'll use my dividend investing watchlist on Google Sheets. We are in the tab for NVIDIA, and here we have its dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years. Out of this information we calculate that on average in 5 years the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 0.18%. So the best time to get into the stock was in the first part of 2019 at a dividend yield of 0.34% over the 5-year average for 84.97%, and worst yield was by the end of 2021 at 0.05% under average for 72.80%. But if we are getting into the stock right now at a dividend yield of 0.12%, that is still under the 5-year average for 34.72%. So this is here the number that we will be comparing. Now let us take Broadcom. We have its dividend yield history of the last 5 years, and on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 3.15%. So the worst time to get in was by the end of 2017 at 1.81% under the 5-year average for 42.62%, and there was this jump in the beginning of 2020 where we saw the yield at 6.03% over average for 91.17%. And even though the yield is way lower now at 3.42%, it is still over the 5-year average for 8.42%. Lastly, Texas Instruments. We have its dividend yield history of the last 5 years, and on average the stock was trading at a dividend of 2.39%. So the worst yield was back in 2019 at 1.79%, under average for 25.09%, and we saw the best one in the second quarter of 2020 at 3.13%, over average for 30.99%. But getting into the stock right now is not the worst idea, with a dividend yield of 2.98%, which is over the 5-year average for 24.71%. So now we have the numbers for today's dividend comparison. If you would be interested in doing a similar analysis on another dividend paying stock yourself, you are able to access this watchlist by following the first link at the top of the description. Otherwise, feel free to add a ticker symbol in a comment below, and I'll consider adding that into the watchlist myself. Maybe you could share some interesting opportunities available in the market that I'm still missing. So we are back to our comparison table, and the numbers for each metric are in. Now we can start assigning points. The first one goes to Broadcom with the largest dividend yield at 3.42%. Then we have NVIDIA with the lowest dividend payout ratio at 4.68%. Texas Instruments gets a point for 18 years of consecutive dividend increases. 5-year compound annual dividend growth rate goes to Broadcom with 15.73%. And the last point to Texas Instruments, where its dividend yield is 24.70% higher than its 5-year average. Now we can sum up the points. So NVIDIA has 1, Broadcom 2, and Texas Instruments also 2. This means that we currently have a tie between AVGO and TXN. So let us remove NVIDIA and reassign its point elsewhere. This means that another point goes to Broadcom with a lower dividend payout ratio at 40.18%. Now NVIDIA remains with 1 point, Broadcom has 3, and Texas Instruments 2. This means that Broadcom is considered the winner of this dividend comparison. And that was it. Make sure to support the channel and leave a thumbs up under the video. Which semiconductor stock do you prefer? Share your best pick in a comment below. If you would be interested in getting access to the documents I use, then consider memberships. By becoming a member, you will get access to Discord, where I share all my Google Sheets notes and all the buys and sells exactly when I do them. This could be a great option to track my moves closely. Last week I've looked into several other companies, so if you are interested in any of these, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you all in the next one.